Stop trying to fix your life using a map that belongs to someone you used to be. Most of us are living in the lingering echoes of past failures and outdated desires. Still reacting to things that don't exist anymore. Still chasing goals that don't even fit us. And then we wonder why nothing feels right, why everything feels forced, why progress feels unnatural. It's not because you're broken, it's because you're trying to live as someone you've already outgrown. There's a version of you from 3, maybe 5 years ago that is still quietly running your life. Not fully, not obviously, but enough to keep you stuck. That version still decides what you believe you're capable of, still decides what you think you deserve, still whispers limits into your head that don't even apply anymore. That's your identity ghost, not a memory, not just the past, a presence, a psychological residue of who you used to be. And the problem isn't that it exists. The problem is you never let it go. So now you're split. Part of you is here, aware, changing, wanting more, and another part is stuck back there, still operating on old rules, old fears, old conclusions about yourself. And these two versions, they don't agree. So everything feels like friction. You try to move forward, but something pulls you back. You try to change, but something resists. That's not laziness. That's conflict. You are trying to build a new life while still obeying an old identity. And it doesn't work. Because that older version of you was built in a completely different context, different struggles, different environment, different level of awareness. Maybe back then, you failed at something important. An exam, a relationship, an opportunity. And in that moment, you made a decision. Not consciously, but deeply. I'm not good enough. I'm not consistent. I always mess things up. And that belief, it stuck. It became part of your identity, not because it was true, but because you experienced it once. And now, years later, you're still carrying it. Still making decisions based on it. Still hesitating because of it. Even though you're not that same person anymore. But your mind hasn't updated. It's still using old data to define your current reality. That's what an identity ghost does. It keeps you loyal to a version of yourself that no longer exists, and you don't even realize it. You just feel stuck. You feel like something is off, like you're capable of more but can't access it. And so you try to fix it. You watch videos, you read advice, you try new routines, but nothing sticks. Because you're still operating from that old identity. You're trying to change behavior without changing the version of you that's creating that behavior. It's like trying to upgrade your life without uninstalling the old system. So everything glitches. You fall back, you repeat patterns, you sabotage progress, and then you blame yourself. You call it lack of discipline, lack of focus. But it's deeper than that. You are still performing for a version of life that doesn't exist anymore. Think about it. How many of your decisions right now are influenced by people who are no longer in your life? How many times do you hold back because of how you think someone would have judged you? How often do you act based on expectations you've already outgrown? You're still trying to prove something to an audience that isn't even watching anymore. Still trying to avoid embarrassment from people who have moved on. Still trying to live up to standards that don't align with who you are now. And it's exhausting, because you're carrying a version of yourself that's no longer needed, but you don't drop it, because it feels familiar, because letting it go feels like losing a part of yourself, even if that part is holding you back. And now in today's world, this problem is worse than ever, because your past doesn't stay in the past anymore. It follows you. In your photos, your old posts, your messages, your digital footprint. Versions of you that should have faded away are still visible, still accessible, still reminding you of who you used to be. And slowly, you start identifying with them again. You see an old picture, and remember how you felt. You read old messages and fall back into that mindset. You scroll through your own past and reinforce an identity that doesn't belong to you anymore. It's like being haunted, not by something external, but by your own history. And the more you revisit it, the stronger it gets. The more real it feels, until eventually you stop questioning it. You just accept it. This is who I am, but it's not. It's who you were, and there's a difference. A massive one. Because who you are right now is being shaped by what you do today. Not what happened back then. But as long as you keep listening to that old voice, you'll keep repeating the same patterns, the same limits, the same life. So the real work isn't just improving yourself. It's confronting that ghost, seeing it clearly, understanding where it came from, and then choosing to stop obeying it, not fighting it, not suppressing it, just recognizing that it's outdated, that it served a purpose once, but it doesn't anymore, and you're allowed to move on. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to become someone who doesn't match your past, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because growth always does. But holding onto that old identity, that's what's truly costing you. Not in one big moment, but in small ways. Every hesitation, every doubt, every time you play small because of something that happened years ago. That's the cost. And it adds up. Until one day you realize you've been living as a memory, not as a person. So if you feel stuck right now, if things don't make sense, if you keep trying, but nothing changes, maybe it's not your effort. Maybe it's not your strategy. Maybe it's the version of you that you're still holding onto, the one that needs to go. Because you can't build a new life while dragging an old identity behind you. At some point, you have to let it die. Not dramatically, not in one big decision, but in small moments. When you choose differently, when you act against old patterns, when you stop listening to that outdated voice. That's how you replace it. That's how you move forward. Not by becoming perfect, but by becoming current, aligned with who you are now, not who you used to be. Because the truth is, you're not stuck, you're just haunted. And until you stop living for a version of yourself that no longer exists, you'll keep trying to fix a life that doesn't belong to you anymore.